All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. We're about to get started in just a second. Let's get this banner off. I hope you guys are having a wonderful night. Before we get started, I do want to get this off the screen so you can see me. Bear with me 1 second. All right, guys. Ooh, that's like right in my face. All right, guys. Before we get started, I do want to just make sure we keep our neighbors down in Florida in our prayers because they are going through the hurricane, as most of us are aware. So let's just make sure we keep them in our thoughts. We are gonna continue tonight with our Let's Talk Thursdays. I do have a special guest on the show tonight. If I'm looking down, I'm sorry. I'm getting used to the whole live concept with talking to you guys in the camera. And also, excuse my voice. I am coming back around. So, yeah, but let's just keep our Floridian neighbors in our thoughts, okay? Jamor checking in from Ohio. Jamor, let us know where you are watching from. Drop in the comments where you're watching from. And we're going to go ahead and let some more folks come in, and we're going to get started with me answering the question of the overall health of the market here in Atlanta. As you guys know, I like to kind of give you that sentiment because I know that it's just a general question. And we'll just get straight to the chase. I do have some stats for you guys tonight. That's something that I did not have on the last lives, just to give you that visual, right? The illustrated visual, so you can see for yourself what's going on here in the Atlanta real estate market. All right. And we have Country Boy Mods. Thanks for that. And watching from Northern Florida. All right. Well, I hope you stay safe there in Northern Florida. Dr. Giles checking in from New York City. All right, Dr. Giles. I've been seeing you in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching the content and being engaging. K Bravo says, I'm here for it. All right. I hope you walk away from this session tonight, knowing more than you came in with, right? So let's just go ahead and jump right into the stats. Let's go ahead and get those pulled up. Got one more popped in here, watching from Long Island, New York. All right. Thank you for popping in. All right. So let's go ahead and start with our first stat. It's going to be from the Atlanta Realtors Association. As you guys know, I am a realtor. What that means is that I'm not just an average real estate agent. I am a part of the National Association of Realtors. So in order to call yourself a realtor, you have to be a part of that association. So I am a part of that association. And I'm also a real estate broker. So I own my own real estate company here in Atlanta. So first thing I want to point out is some movement from August stats. September market brief has not been released by the Atlanta Association of Realtors just yet, but we got some stuff for that in real time from the MLS. So just stay tuned for that. But so the demand for residential sales in August decreased 23%. So that's that decrease in demand that every news outlet is talking about across the country because of the high interest rates or their buying power being decreased. Whatever the reason, there is a dropout of demand, which in my previous videos, I told you guys that I look at that as opportunity for you as a buyer. With most of you guys being buyers coming into Atlanta, you have to realize your opportunity. And with that decrease of demand, it's going to make you and give you a little bit more of an edge in negotiation. So that is corroborated by this stat. Also, I want to point out, and I'm sorry I can't like highlight it on the screen. I was working on that, trying to get set up. But in the price category, you'll see in August, the median sale price in Atlanta was $408,000. So when I tell you guys that when you're coming to me at 250, 275, and you're looking at me side eye about what I'm, presenting to you, that's why Atlanta is no longer the hillbilly of the South, if you will. Real estate is really, really expensive here. So keep that in mind. I'm sorry. I'm going to keep my throat preserved for tonight. So $408,000, which was an increase from last August. So we're still on an upward trajectory here with an average sale price of $484,500. All right, 13.7% from the previous year. Supply, as of August, it was down 8.2% from the previous month with a 12-month supply of 1.9 months as of August brief. I'm going to show you the current supply is actually increased a little bit more, but that is still a seller's market, right? All day long. So just realize and know that there's opportunity, but that opportunity has to be managed with proper expectations. All right, let's go ahead and look at from August 2022 to September 2022. And I know it's kind of hard for you to see it because I can't point at what I want to point at, but the long or the short of it is from August to September, we saw a decrease in sold properties by 19.1%. So properties actually, there was less activity. Essentially, you can say that, right? The activity dropped by 19.1% from August to September. Pretty dramatic, right? Now, one category I do want you to pay attention to is the average sale price to list price ratio. That was still, let's go from August. It was so it was 14% over the sales price. So that means that there was a lot of negotiations, and these numbers are a little bit broad. This is everything in the metropolitan area, 40-mile radius around Atlanta, with no limitations on price point or residential type. I just wanted to give it to you straight. But what that sale price versus list price ratio means is 14% the one buyer or buyers have given 14% over the asking price for that property on average. We saw that still increase in September. All right. So there are still instances, very, very few. And I think that's a pretty flawed stat. So I won't spend much time there. But there are instances where real estate is still local. And so there could be a situation where you have to really negotiate over to get the property you want. But that's not realistic right now. So I don't want to spend too much time on that. But the takeaway is that the activity of the sold properties did decrease from August to September. So we are seeing that decrease of demand being corroborated again in another statistic. All right. So last year to this year, from September 2021 to September 22, we did see, again, the decrease in sold property. So we are seeing a downward trajectory of that demand. And looking at last year, the sale price to list price ratio was 128.4%. This year is 134.2%. So that still shows you that there's still some competitiveness in this market. Finally, wrapping it up so I can stop talking and get to the comments. The current supply right now, right? So the current supply in Atlanta is 3.5 months, according to Redfin, from August 29th to September 25th. So that is a pretty big increase, right? Homes are sitting on the market longer. Sellers are having to balance the reluctancy of the reality that the market is changing. There are some sellers that are just not ready to accept that. And as a real estate professional, what I always tell you guys to do is ask for your price reduction, right? So in our negotiation stance, we're going to just ask for that reduction based on the data. Okay. And so you have to do that. So that's the overall market health. So let's go to the comments here. Pop your questions in regarding that if you have any. I don't see any questions on the stats. So we're going to move right along. All right. Let's just make sure. All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and move on. Let's see. What time is it? I did tell her 8:20, but we've been moving right along. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up my preferred lender that most of you, if you've reached out to me, you have likely received the information for my preferred lender, Miss Heather Wilson with Churchill Mortgage. I'm going to go ahead and bring her up now. And we're going to talk. She's going to give you guys the finance piece. Okay. She's going to give you the finance piece. So let's go ahead and get her up. Hey, hey, Marlo. Hey, Heather.
Hey, guys. Hi, Raymond. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for taking time out your schedule tonight to join me. So let me just give you the floor here. We're going to start. Give us the current state of lending. What should my clients be expecting on the finance side?
Sure. So as I'm sure, you've seen on the news, it's a roller coaster ride right now. I mean, truly, it's day to day. Things are changing and they're changing rapidly. The number one reason for this is inflation. So those inflation numbers keep rising, as do mortgage rates. Inflation is for lack of a better term, mortal enemy of mortgage rates. So on the horizon, though, so that's why you're seeing rates rise, because inflation is rising. What they're doing, and I got a new set of knives that work a little too well.
I see.
A little kitchen accident this morning.
Yeah.
So I apologize for that. But so as I'm sure you're seeing on the news, the Fed is raising their federal funds rate, right? And they've done it now 3 times. And the past 2 times, they've raised it 75 basis points. And they're likely to do that again at least twice, if not 3 more times. And crazy enough, this is going to be good for mortgage rates.
Okay.
The reason being is because why the Fed is raising their federal funds rate is to help curb inflation. That's why they're doing this. And likely what's going to happen is inflation is going to go down, which is going to be good for mortgage rates. probably into quarter 2 of next year, around March. Now,
Mm-hmm.
are they going to drop significantly right away? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not going to be on this crazy roller coaster that we're on right now, where one day you're at, 5.5%, and the next day you're at 6.5%. I mean, that is how much it could fluctuate in a day right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they're
Mm-hmm.
raising that federal funds rate, which is going to help curb inflation, which is a good thing. And
Right.
historically, that puts us into a recession. When the Fed
Mm-hmm.
raises the federal fund rate, that puts us into a recession, which we're
Mm-hmm.
already in.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to keep deepening into a recession, which historically has been very, very good for mortgage rates as well. So
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely, there is, a recession is not great for some things, but it is good for mortgage rates. Inflation curbing, very good for mortgage rates.
Mm-hmm.
So we are anticipating, into quarter 2 of next year through the year rates we're really hoping
Really
to see
see.
the fours again. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I've been telling people too when I speak to them about just general real estate. Like
Mhm.
I'm really watching quarter 2 because it's the Super Bowl for real estate, as I always say, the beginning of it, right? So we
Mhm.
really will see what the market is gonna look like, the forecast.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. So that's good news for a lot of people that are trying to decide should you buy or should you not. So from the lending perspective,
Mhm.
what do you think? Should you jump in with the current state of lending? Should you buy?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, really, if you're prepared, if you have the down payment, if you have the closing costs, if credit scores are where you want them to be, debt to income is
Mhm.
good, everything like that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds crazy,
Yeah,
but
a lot of people, when I say it too, same thing. I get the same response, but it's like literally you have to be a buyer. If you're trying to force it, then
yeah.
no. Liquidity is very important, right?
Mhm.
Being able to pay your own way forward, right?
Mhm.
And I think too, talking about just going, I'm gonna take this question off. I'm kind of deviating a little bit, but
Yeah.
so for you guys that are watching, you have to remember real estate is seasonal as well, right? So we are in uh pretty much say October, right? In 2 days
Mhm.
we'll be in October. So historically, October, November, December are relatively better times for buyers to buy if you're able to move around in this time. So
Mhm.
with that being said, I do think you should buy. I think like you said, Heather, if you can do it. Now, do you think that if someone is ready to buy,
Mhm.
do you think they should just be holding off for the rates to go down anytime in 2022?
I don't, and here's why. The first reason, right now, because rates are higher, it has taken some people out of the market.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have likely more negotiating power and less competition.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
past 2 years, we've seen there's a house on the market. It could get 20, 30, 40 offers. That's how crazy it has been. And
Mm-hmm.
now if you're making an offer on a house, not only, hopefully there might be one or two more offers, but a lot of times you might be the only offer. And I've seen contracts coming in now with some seller assistance on closing costs. We have not seen
Mm-hmm.
that the past couple of years.
Right.
That's happening. So how we look at it is, yes, right now you're going to be in a higher than normal. I
Last
don't
year.
want to say normal. Historically, and I know this sounds crazy, historically interest rates are still low. They were
Mm-hmm.
12, 13, 14%, back in
Mm-hmm.
the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
What's going to happen is, yes, you're going to get in. It's maybe a 6 to 7% interest rate, but it's temporary. That will
Mm-hmm.
be temporary. You can refinance out of that interest rate once rates do fall.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, and if you do get some seller paid closing costs, that's likely going to, and the little bit additional you're going to have to pay every month because the interest rate is higher for maybe a year, may not even a full year.
Mm-hmm.
You can refinance really at any time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it would make up for it. And
Mm-hmm.
then if you find a home and you love it and you're prepared, I personally don't see a reason to wait, because you can always refinance when rates go lower.
Right.
And I got to tell you, my past two, August and September have been some of the biggest purchase months I've
Mhm.
seen since
Okay.
I've been doing this. Because people are
Gotcha.
still wanting to buy houses and they're able to do so because the competition is a little less.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So let's switch gears. So what are you seeing for the current interest rate right now for prime borrowers?
Yeah, really right around 6.99%, give or take a bit, depending on credit scores. But really, we're fluctuating right now between mid sixes and low
Mhm.
sevens.
Mhm.
As
Mhm.
of today, and I know that's, but truly today, I mean, it is
Right.
daily. Yeah,
Right.
we'd be right around 6.99% for 30-year conventional.
So all of the subscribers, all of you watching, 2, 3 months ago when I made the videos, buy now, this is why. Fed is not slowing down. There's no signs of it. And the whole goal, he will accomplish his goal as long as he's a chairman of the Fed. Like he's at this point, he's all in. He can't pull back now.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you're right. You're right. And
Hmm.
the reason they're doing is, again, inflation has kind of it's run away.
Hmm.
So they
Hmm.
have to do this, and that's just, unfortunately, a recession is one of those things that happens. And but again, for mortgage rates historically, these are all good things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
We have Miss Bess asking, how is it good for mortgage rates? She wants a little bit more explanation if you can provide it. If not,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
sure. So inflation, and I don't know your question. Inflation is good for mortgage rates. Inflation is bad for mortgage rates.
mhm, mhm,
Inflation is not good for mortgage rates. So are you meaning, why is a recession good for mortgage rates, or why
probably
is okay?
probably I'm thinking that's what she's I'm thinking that's what she's saying. Miss Pauline, you can come back with a more
Yeah,
clarified question and we can definitely speak to that.
want to
Want
make
to make
sure.
sure we're providing you that answer.
Yeah.
Um, And you guys are really quiet tonight. Like, I need you guys to engage. We are here to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, and I'm
Let's
happy to
see.
answer any questions that you have on, you know,
Yeah, yeah, that's
loan
right.
programs,
So,
what down payments should look like, anything. We don't have to necessarily just talk about inflation and all that, but I'm happy to help answer any questions, any lender questions, anything like that you may have.
right. And so let's pivot to that. The down payment assistance. I know you can't give us a
Mhm.
whole lot of information. It's a fairly new program with
Mhm.
Churchill. But scratch the surface and let us know kind of the down payment, because there are a lot of clients that are watching my YouTube videos and they're like, Raymond, do you have down payment assistance programs? Are there any? So Heather, what do you guys have over at Churchill?
Yeah, absolutely. So, typically down payment assistance programs come from the states. So,
Hmm.
Georgia has one called Georgia Dream. Different states have different first time home buyer down payment assistance programs.
Hmm.
Typically, you have to be a first time home buyer. So,
Hmm.
we have a program at Churchill. It is newer, but I really think it's going to help a lot of people. You do not have to be a first time home buyer. Credit scores down to 600. 3.5% of whatever your loan amount is. So a lot of time, or whatever the purchase price is, a lot of times your state down payment assistance first time homebuyer programs,
Hmm.
it's a limit of $7,500, sometimes $10,000.
Hmm.
There's no it's 3.5% of whatever the purchase price is. So that's great.
Hmm.
Also, there are income limits to down
Hmm.
payment assistance programs always. This income limit for this one is significantly higher than just your typical normal state centric down payment assistance program. So it really is going to open up a much bigger pool of people that we are
Yeah.
able to help,
Right.
truly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's one of the things as the questions are continue to come in. Thank you guys for getting those questions in and keep them coming. I'll pop them up on the screen here in a second. But that's one of the things I think that people got to realize, that before there is a complete like bottoming of a market crash, there will be so many more incentive programs that are coming to help try to keep it up, right? And I think when you look back at 6 and 7 and 8, at the turn of that market crash, that was it. You had all these lenders and banks coming out with these programs, and unfortunately, I think that was a little bit on the negative side of things, and it kind of perpetuated the continued downfall.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
hopefully,
People that were buying houses in those years were not qualified to buy houses. They should
right.
not have bought houses. It's just they weren't qualified. There was no credit checks. There was no, bank statement checks, anything. The reason
Yeah.
why we are not going to see a crash is because it is harder to get a mortgage now than it has ever been, ever.
Right.
And that was the main reason for that crash back in
Well, there you
2000.
go, guys. You've heard it from someone else. I've been saying it. And I think YouTube is a wonderful place. It can give you content, but it can also be a propaganda machine. It can make people believe whatever um that source wants them to believe. Like I follow YouTubers too, being a content creator myself, and I'm like, every video they make is like, it is the end of the world. The you should not do and it's so
Yeah.
consequential to some people. So I always tell people to use your own knowledge and understand that this situation is not the same. It's not apples for apples like it was in 6 and 7.
It's not at all. And a typical healthy market for supply is 6 months. 6 months of supply. Nationally, we're at about a month right now of supply for houses. So just simple economics, simple supply and demand, we're nowhere near a crash. It will not, because yes, people may have kind of maybe stepped on the brakes a little bit, but in a normal market, again, winter kind of things slow down a little bit around the holidays. It's very, very normal. And when it's going to pick back up again, Q2, March, rates are going to be, and it's just, that is a normal housing market that we've seen every year. And those two reasons, it's hardest to get a mortgage right now than ever. And also just supply and demand. There will not be a crash. Yeah.
Well, there you go. I think this one is for you, Heather. If you want to take that one on.
Doesn't it make more sense to purchase a home at a lower price rather than a lower interest rate? Absolutely. Yeah. That's really why we're saying right now, there's really, truly no reason to wait.
Because prices are not going down.
No, houses are still appreciating. Now, the homes that are on the market we all know sometimes homes are inflated and they shouldn't be but the homes that are on the market for what they should be valued at and those are still flying off, right? I'm sure you can speak to that too. And absolutely, if you're prepared, homes are only going to keep appreciating. Normal appreciation is 3 to 6% per year. It is anticipated that homes this year alone are going to appreciate 14%. And that's appreciation. Now, next year, maybe 3 to 6, but that is normal and that is healthy. So absolutely buy a house at a lower price. Don't wait. You can just refinance down the road. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Jamora says, how does lending to retirees work? This is a really good question. Take it away.
Yeah, absolutely.
What advice you can give, I guess.
Yeah. So a lot of times retirees have a pension, they receive Social Security, annuities, things like that. And that is all income that we can use. And I've had many clients that have been retirees, living the best life, and they're buying houses.
Right. And also one thing I will tell you guys, I have a video about, retiring and what some of the steps you should consider. One of those things is really, truly like sitting down and looking at your pre-retirement income versus your post-retirement income and understand what decisions you're going to have to make before you retire, right? Understand that. And you can also speak with Heather before you retire too, so she can give you a side-by-side comparison of, hey, your buying power is going to be significantly decreased if you retire now versus doing maybe if you have some liquidity, you can do a second home if you're not already in Atlanta, get things set up. And, if your profile allows for that. So definitely work your numbers prior to, reach out to Heather prior to actually making that decision would be helpful too.
Yeah.
All right. Does it make more sense to pay more towards mortgage every month with interest rates so high?
So every time you're paying additional on your mortgage every month, that's going directly to principal. So none of that is going towards your interest. That is going to go directly towards your principal. So if interest rates were 20% or if interest rates were 2%, that additional you're paying is going to your principal. Not interest at all. Yeah. So
it does.
Yes, exactly. So it does. Yep.
Every amount you can pay overdo it.
Yeah, absolutely. Pay that sucker off as fast as you can. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Dr. Giles has one. Cash versus mortgage lender. Cash payments versus more. Okay, so I guess cash versus financing. Are
Mhm.
cash payments treated as such as suspect or fully supported and encouraged? Dr. Giles, are you meaning to buy the house like a cash purchase? Circle back around and let me know. But if the answer is cash versus financing, um, yeah, that's perfect. Cash is king in every market. You can definitely have a much better negotiating stance as well. So
Mhm.
yes. Now, I personally believe in leverage, and I believe in liquidity. Real estate is perfect when it's working and appreciation is strong. But the reality of any market, just like with the stock market, it can go up and it can go down. So if you have the means to do a mortgage, I would say get as much leverage as you can that you can manage, and keep as much liquidity as possible. But no, it is not treated as suspect. As long as you have good intentions, that's fine. As a real estate broker, when you're doing cash, it's weird in the United States. We don't have to. You don't have to prove where the cash comes from. I'm just gonna leave it there. But no, now if you are making cash down payments on a finance deal, it needs to be sourceable. You want to speak to that real quick, Heather, on sourcing large amounts of cash for financing?
Yes, absolutely. So anything from cash. So, some people have a safe at home where they like to keep cash.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that. When you're
Mm-hmm.
buying a home, this law was passed after September 11th.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason being, mortgage company needs to make sure money on a home purchase is not coming from terrorism or drug money.
There you
That's
go.
that's what it comes down to. And so every single penny has to be sourced as to where it came from. So let's say you sold a car and you were paid in cash. As long as we have the bill of sale for that car, we can absolutely use that. It just has to be there has to be a paper trail for all cash.
There you
Mhm.
go.
And if there's a big down payment in your bank statements that we see, just know, or not a down payment, a big deposit.
Mm-hmm.
Just know that the underwriter's going to ask where that came from, and as long as
Yep.
it's easily explainable, we can use it. Yep.
Perfect. All right, Miss Pauline has another one. Does the APR increase with higher mortgage? Then what amount is added to the monthly payments?
Um, so I'm thinking, Miss
Talking about
Pauline,
regular.
higher rates. Does the APR increase with the higher interest rates? Is what I'm thinking. You know what I mean? If so, it does. Yeah. So the APR essentially, what the APR really is essentially the interest rate to get. It's different. It's hard to explain.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, it does. Your APR will increase. If your rate is higher, the APR will follow.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, it's basically the cost of credit to get the mortgage is what the APR is.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times, let's say your interest rate is 5%, your APR will be higher than that because there's closing costs, things like that. That's what that means.
Mm-hmm.
What amount is added to the monthly payments?
Mm-hmm. All right, I got one more popping
Yeah.
up there.
Okay.
All right. I've heard that sellers and buyers prioritize conventional buyers with conventional loans rather than one with mortgage assistance. How true is that? You go first, and I'll come behind you. What do you
Okay.
think on the
Okay.
on the? Well, no, I
Raymond
guess that's for
obviously
me.
being on the buying and the selling side is really going to be able to speak to this for sure because I know you've been a listing agent, so you've seen
Mm-hmm.
those offers come in. Yes. So a conventional loan, I will tell you, is when you are a seller and you have a conventional offer come in, it is definitely more attractive. The reason being a conventional loan is a loan for borrowers that typically have good credit scores, typically
Mm-hmm.
don't have a lot of derogatory credit history, late payments, collections, things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, a conventional loan, it is typically looked at as more favorable
Yeah.
than a FHA or a VA but you can
If
absolutely still buy a home, and we do them all the time with a government loan, FHA, VA, USDA.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the real estate standpoint, yes, sellers will prioritize when they have the luxury of prioritizing, right? So that's the most important part.
Right.
Like right now in an adjusting market, buyers that can go conventional are somehow, some of them are choosing to go FHA because of a lower rate.
Mhm.
So it's only prioritized when the option of the ability to prioritize is there. So I will say this though, on the mortgage assistance, regardless of the lender, sometimes that can be a little bit of a hiccup just in the way the offer is structured. So um if you're conventional and you go with Heather and you go through the certified home buyer program and get, to be determined underwritten, which is the underwriter will underwrite you before you find the house that you want to buy. We can go super fast. So we can close, Heather and I closed one together 14 days. So on average though, it's 21. The 14 was, pull it out your hair and, trying to really make it work for our client, but we did it. And hopefully Glenn will come on the channel to talk about his experience with working with both of us, because he came from YouTube, just like you guys are watching me here. But the down payment assistance typically takes a little bit longer. It's a double underwriting in some situations, depending on the down payment assistance. Like with Georgia Dream, you have to underwrite with Georgia Dream, right?
You do, yes. The one that we have in-house now is completely underwritten by Churchill. It is in-house. So it does not have to go through two sets of underwriting. But yes, your typical, like a Georgia Dream, you have to go through the lenders, like a Churchill underwriter, and also a Georgia Dream underwriter as well. Yeah. So it does take a little bit longer.
Absolutely. So yeah, if you can qualify on your own with your own money, that is the way to go. So Preston says, are you familiar with VA renovation loans?
Preston, I have heard of I do know they are out there. I've personally never done one.
Yeah, they
Myself.
are few and far in between. I will say
Yes.
that. It's not very often.
Yes. You don't see them a ton. I've personally never done one. But I do know they are out there. Obviously, if you have any questions on it, I'm happy to do a little bit more research for you if we want to talk outside of this, and can get you my contact information. Yep.
All right. Truly Blessed says, do you think it'll be a buyer's market within the next 18 months or so? So I'll take this one. And then you can chime in too. But
Sure. Yeah.
Next 18 months, it's likely, it's possible. 18 months is a long time. I think your benchmark should be Q2 of next year. It's gonna really set the precedence to where we go, right? If those sellers stay on the fence about selling their home and that supply still stays down, based on the definition of a buyer's market, is not going to turn. Now, what does that mean to sellers that still decide to sell? They still may have to do concessions for buyers in a seller's market. So it gets really deep, because at the end of the day, if there are, although that the supply is down, if the demand drops too, it could balance each other out just with demand. We put a lot of emphasis on the supply aspect, but if there's no demand, the supply is useless in a way. So that will be interesting if that happens, but Q2 would be my answer to look at. So.
Yes. And let me just add one thing really quick.
Sure.
So millennials, and I know millennials, but they're just now entering the housing market. A typical home buying age is 32 to 33. Millennials that's starting to happen. They're the biggest generation we have ever had. Ever. Yeah, I know. Exactly. So they're the biggest they are the biggest generation we've ever had.
Yeah. Say it. It's okay. Our subscribers are awesome.
Gen Z is way worse. No offense to anybody out there. And so likely we have a 5-year period where it is really likely supply and demand is not necessarily going to catch up. So will it be a buyer's market fully? Likely not, but that doesn't mean it's going to be as crazy as it was the past 2 years. I don't foresee that happening again. I really don't. You can speak to that, Raymond, too. But
yeah, I agree with you. I think that if what happened in 2020, 2019, 2020 happens again, then our market is going to be one of the most volatile real estate markets to be like it. The volatility is not sustainable. As you can see, so many people were affected that really wanted to buy and they couldn't. And now that the demand that the demand is decreased because of the interest rate, now we're stuck again. So it's just crazy. But quarter two, truly blessed should be your benchmark. Look and see what happens at that time. But if you're ready to buy, you need to call me and we need to get started. But yeah. All right. We got a time for a few more questions. And then we'll let Heather go here. So get your finance questions in here. What would be the preferred FICO 2, 4, and 5 middle score for the first time home buyer applying for a 30-year conventional loan with the preferred DTI threshold?
So when it comes to FICOs 2, 4, 5, so what we do, we actually pull Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. That's going to be any lender, any bank. Those are the three main. It gets a little confusing with the FICOs and that we pull. Those are the three we pull. We throw out the top and bottom and go with your median score. So we don't add them and then divide them by 3. It's literally truly throw out top, throw out bottom, go with your median. That's what we call our decision-making credit score. A 740 is kind of the benchmark, right, of where you want to be. A 740 on a conventional 30-year, you're going to get the very best interest rate possible. And then it really stair steps down from there, 719 to 739, things like that. You're still going to get a good rate in the 700s. I mean, but that's really where 740 is the upper echelon of credit or above.
The upper echelon.
Yeah. Throwing these big terms out tonight.
Yeah.
And then a preferred debt to income, really on a conventional loan, you want to be at 45% debt to income or lower, typically.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. What are your thoughts on the NACA program? Do you want to take? Do you have any? Are you familiar with NACA?
I'm really not.
Okay, so my take on NACA, which is a first-time home buyers program, like it is a true program. You have to go to seminars. You have to learn how to pay your bills. You have to really get involved with it. Here's my stance on NACA. If you need NACA, great. If you know how to pay your bills, if your credit score is sufficient to qualify for a mortgage today, if you have liquidity, you're wasting your time. The program is designed to recondition people, to teach them good habits, right? To teach them good financial responsibility, so that you can be a good homeowner and you can ultimately keep the house that you buy. So that's my thoughts on it. If you need it, use it. If you don't really need it and you're only using it for down payment, do Georgia Dream if you qualify for the income levels, or inquire about Churchill's down payment assistance program, which gives a lot more wiggle room there. That would be my take. If you're only using NACA for down payment assistance, I think your time will be better spent in just working with the down payment assistance program and leaving all the other stuff alone. Okay. All right. Thoughts on first purchase being a single family versus multiplex. I'll take this one first, and Heather, if you want to chime in, that's fine. My thoughts on it is it's always everybody's ambition to be an investor. I want to go out and conquer the world in real estate. I think if you can do it, fine. Multiplexes are expensive in Georgia, in Atlanta particularly. They are very hard to come by. Everybody has caught on to that message or that notion to do that. So that's going to be the challenge of, can you find it? Can you afford it? And if you can afford it, do you have the liquidity to close the deal? If that answer is yes, makes perfect sense to me. Live in one side, rent the other side. FHA, you can go up to 4 units as long as you live in one. Bing, bam, done. But you're going to have a problem with finding it in Atlanta Metro. What are your thoughts, Heather? Is it easy for them to get that mortgage?
That's what I mean. Yes, if you can do it, absolutely. That's great. If you want to be a landlord, if you're prepared for that, it's not a bad investment. But the down payment can be higher depending on the number of units. There's 1 to 2 units, 3 to 4 units, things like that. So the down payment and the not only the down payment, but the loan program you're going with, FHA, conventional, that also has different parameters for down payments with, multiplex. So that's something that you definitely want to explore if you're interested in that. Absolutely. We can kind of talk through that, what that looks like, depending on the loan program, down payment. Yeah. You just want to be, like Raymond said, be prepared to have a little bit more liquidity.
Yep. Awesome. Well, that was our last question. Heather, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Absolutely. This was so fun. Let's do it again.
Yeah, we will. We'll try to have you here at least once a month, just to kind of brush up on where we are on numbers. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody will have Heather's information in the video description below when I repost the video. Feel free to reach out to her regarding any questions of financing. If you reach out to me for my services to help you transition and relocate to Atlanta, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get Heather's contact information as my first step to understand where you are on paper. And she's super dope. She's super cool. So I think you guys will enjoy working with her. She's a little bit of an over communicator too. I think that's great. You can reach her. You can, feel that you can reach out to her. So thank you for coming on, Heather, and I'll see you, and we'll be talking. We got a few deals we got to close, so that's right. I'm sure we'll be talking in the next day or two.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look forward to probably talking with you tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Bye, Heather.
Bye, guys. See ya.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So let's see if you guys have any more questions. I'll take them on the real estate side. All right. Let's see. All of the thank yous. Okay. We're still working full time. Eligible. Are we still eligible? Currently on disability, but still working full time. Reach out to Heather. I think it just depends on your VOE and how that looks. And if that disability, if that full-time income has changed, then that could be impactful. If it hasn't, likely you should be good. But Heather's going to be the girl for that one. So reach out to her. You can reach out to me to get her information. I'll pass it on. Thanks for the information, guys. Awesome. Well, I'm glad you guys joined us tonight, and I hope you walked away learning something new. I apologize for my voice. Hopefully, the next Thursday we do it, I'll be able to be a little bit clearer if I wasn't. So I'm gonna let y'all go. Thank you for watching, and more videos are coming on the channel. Let's see. We have Peachtree City coming up. And Peachtree City is one of those cities that you guys are very interested in about week. So that video should be posting next week. How are you guys liking the property tours? For you guys that are still here, are you liking those? I'm trying to balance the channel, right? I know you're used to me being the pros and cons and all that stuff, so that's coming, but let me know what you guys think about the property tours. But definitely set your notification for Peachtree City. Okay, we got some love in them. Okay, all right. Okay, I'll keep doing it. As long as you love them, we'll keep them coming. All right. I was hoping that we had one guy come in. Man, I forget his name on here. Is it Kratos? If you watch this back, you are insane with your comments. Thank you for your engagement. I hope that I can get a property tour so great for you that you finally say great, because you are like, dude, this is not the house. So but thank you for watching. It's always funny to see your comments. The music is working on the psyche to buy. I love music, as you guys can see. I love music. I try to incorporate it in everything I do. I think it calms you. It gives you that opportunity to kind of chill out. So, love the tours. Awesome. Yep, Golf Cart City. Okay, Golf Cart City. Peachtree City is definitely one of them. So you'll see that. Okay, thank you. Country Boy Mod, you are the MVP. You've been rocking with me since day one. Thank you so much for your continued support on the channel. All right. Thank y'all, man. I'm gonna let you go. Again, continue to keep all of our Florida neighbors in your thoughts and your prayers. If you can find, donate to the American Red Cross, whatever you can do to support them, they are gonna need a lot of support. The hurricane, from what I hear, was like catastrophic. I was gonna say apocalyptic. What is it? Was that word? Yeah. I can't think tonight. My mind is gone. But keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Please do McDonough again. More content is coming about McDonough. I love McDonough, one of my favorite suburbs. I'm also going to be doing a video giving you guys my tops for this, tops for that. As you guys know, I am an EV owner, so we got a video coming up about EVs. Shout out to Tesla. Talking about being an EV owner and what does that charging infrastructure look like, all that. So more stuff coming. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.